next guest on the show. Definitely looking forward to this. He is the manager of one of the best fighters that has ever graced the square circle, one of the most popular fighters of today, tomorrow, and yesterday, and it's an honor to have him on the show. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. December 8th in Las Vegas, the fourth-time Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez get down and dance, and here is one of the guys that helped orchestrate that. Whether you love the fight or you hate it, he is on here right now. We'll ask him the questions about it. We'll ask him the questions on how he does his job oh so well. Without further ado, Michael Koncz, welcome to ATG Radio. Thank you for your time this evening. It's a pleasure to have you.
No, it's a pleasure to be on your show, but I want to just clarify something first. Manny Manny is self-managed. He manages himself. I'm his main advisor. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, well, look at it like this. Let's go like this. I've heard this. Michael, you're in the business. You got the, you're working with arguably the best fighter on the planet. Now, the Muhammad Ali Act says that there can't be advisors. How does that work out? If you tell me, this is what I've heard. Maybe I'm wrong in this case. You maybe have to be a co-manager, assistant manager. On paper, what exactly is your title?
My title is I'm his chief advisor. I don't only advise him in boxing, but in other matters also.
Okay, there we go. And I don't want to get you in trouble with Manny in this case, but December 8th, I like this fight. A lot of people are, the media. You had that the Fight Game HBO show. You had two of the top in parentheses quotation media guys out there kind of bury the fight. I like this fight, Michael. I think if they fought 20 times, it's going to be a good action-packed fight. But, you doing the business, obviously advising Manny, how did this fight all come about?
Well, what we wanted to do, and we took our time, as you probably read in the media, on choosing an opponent for December 8th. But this was the only fight other than Floyd Mayweather that's available to make it entertaining to the fans. I mean, we could have easily taken a Bradley rematch, but that's certainly not going to be entertaining. And that's Manny's primary goal, is to entertain his fans. And that's why we choose Marquez. And we just concluded the press tour in New York, L.A., and Mexico City. In Mexico City, we had somewhere around 13,000 people at the press conference. Neither of these fighters want to have number 5. So I believe that both of the guys, Manny and Marquez, are going to change their strategies, and there's going to be a lot more aggression in here because they both want to put an end to this trilogy. And I strongly believe somebody is going to knock somebody out.
Chris Guns. You jump in this one first, man. You've been going last. But you jump in this right after me. Chris Guns, ProBoxingInsider.com. Chris.
What's up? Thank you. I appreciate it. What's up, Michael? How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Chris. Thank you.
I wanted to know how many times do we have to see the same fight between Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao? You alluded to it already a little bit before, but I know it's going to be an action-packed fight, but I remember when I saw Manny in the ring with Tim Bradley, it kind of looked weird to see Manny in the ring with somebody else. I think that's the way most people in the game are looking at it. They know they're going to see a great fight, but they kind of want to move on and see both of them in the ring with new people. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree, too. But then on the other hand, who do we have at this moment that would be an entertaining fight? Yeah, if you want to give me some suggestions, I'll entertain it next time around. But right now, we've chosen our opponent, and that's our focus. We don't ever look at our next fight or our next possible opponent until this one's done.
What do you think about maybe Miguel Cotto at a healthier weight? Some people.
Well, actually, that's a good question because when the three names were presented to us, Cotto, Marquez, and Bradley, the first choice that Manny wanted was Miguel Cotto. And we had some negotiations with Miguel's camp, but he chose a different direction. So I can't blame him for what he's doing. There was no catch weight involved, and we thought that would be an entertaining fight. But unfortunately, Miguel had another idea, and I wish him luck on his December 1st fight.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think of Manny getting together with 50 Cent after 50 Cent and Floyd? The whole money team thing fell under. Then we see Manny talking to 50. Think there's too much on Manny already?
No, but as Manny said in the ESPN interview that's all over the place now, there's nothing personal against Floyd. This has nothing to do with Floyd's relationship with 50. We were approached to enter into some business ventures with 50. One of them has to do with boxing promotions, and there's a couple other things that I don't want to divulge right now until they're finalized, but business deals. And I think it's a great hookup. 50, I've met with him a number of times over the past 2 months. He's a very intelligent, savvy businessman. Not in the sport of boxing, but in other areas that he's worked in, the movie industry, the music industry, and some other ventures he has. And I think by combining the name recognition of 50 and Manny, I think we can do some great things, not only in the sport of boxing, but in business ventures in whole.
Do you think one of those ventures might be to bring Manny and Floyd in the ring together? Do you think that could be an angle with 50 involved?
That it's not an angle. This whole co-promoting thing, when it came about to us, it was going to be Manny, Floyd, and 50 Cent. Now, I don't believe Floyd is going to be part of it at this point in time, but as Manny and I spoke with 50, anytime Floyd is wanting to or interested in joining the group, he's more than welcome. It's business. It's nothing personal. And we're not creating a friendship with 50 in some strong arm or some mechanism to get him to make the fight with Floyd. If the fight happens, it happens. If not, we're going to proceed with our business dealings.
What's the name of the union? What's the name of the crew between Michael Koncz, Manny Pacquiao, 50 Cent?
Look, it's not Michael Koncz. It's Manny Pacquiao and 50 Cent.
No,
I'm just an advisor.
I think you're going to get a chain. You're going to get one of them spinny, shining, iced out diamond chains. I think it's going to go down. 24.
I'm a very simple guy. I don't need jewelry, because if you got too much jewelry, you got to worry about somebody icing it from you.
Yeah,
but for right now, what we're going to do, we have MP Promotions. 50 has TMT Promotions, so we're just going to do co-promotions under both names, see how it goes. And if it goes the way we're expecting, then we may merge the two companies and come up with a new name.
Michael Dawes, I apologize. Michael Dawes, guys, shares your namesake. Gentlemen.
How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
It's been a long time. I did some work with you on Diosado Gabi about 5 years ago. And
that was a long time ago.
Talked to you quite a bit back then. You've always been a good guy to me. I just wanted to ask you, basically, on BoxingScene.com a couple of days ago, you were noted as saying that Manny Pacquiao has agreed to 45% of the purse against Floyd Mayweather. Have you heard anything out of Floyd since? Yeah, 45-55. But have you heard anything at all from Mayweather since then, or anybody associated with Mayweather?
No, I have not spoken directly to Floyd since he's been out of prison. And the only thing that I saw was a comment made by Leonard Ellerby saying something to the effect of Manny can't dictate terms or anything like that. That's the only thing I've heard.
I mean, in your heart of hearts, do you really feel that he's going down to 45%, Manny's showing initiative to make this fight. Do you really feel in your heart that Floyd Mayweather really wants Manny?
I don't believe so. I truly don't believe Floyd wants to fight Manny for whatever reason he has. Last time around before we fought Bradley, I was meeting with Floyd directly. He told me to speak with him, nobody else in his team, and that's what I did. And we agreed on the drug testing then. At that time, it was a 55-45 split to the winner. Plus, we offered to guarantee a minimum purse of $50 million against the percentage, and Floyd didn't take it. I would love to have the fight happen. Manny wants it to happen. The fans want it to happen. But honestly, I believe that as each month passes by, the luster of that fight diminishes. And if Floyd really wanted to fight Manny, I think he would have done it by now.
Okay. Well, one more thing. Tim Bradley, we all know that his name was in the mix, with Cotto and with Marquez, the fight man next. That didn't really happen, but do you? And I know Manny, I heard from other angles that Manny actually made this decision. He's the one who picked Marquez for the fight. Do you think that he kind of doesn't want to give Bradley a rematch because really, in his heart of hearts, he doesn't feel there's anything to prove? And do you ever see that happening?
That's absolutely true. Manny and I discussed it at one point. We were leaning to Bradley, but things do change, and that was the final consensus. Manny went into the ring. He believes he won that fight. I think the majority of the fans believe that. So we have nothing to prove, and I don't see that fight happening again.
Okay, I'll appreciate it,
Michael, we got Mark Abrams and Chris Robinson here. Mark Abrams, I know he had a couple questions for you. CR Harmony, we'll go to you at the sorry, man, I'm just going in order. But Mark Abrams, the Marvelous One, you're on Mike.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, Mark. Thank you.
Actually, it's funny that the question I wanted to ask, you kind of alluded to it on your last answer, but I'll give it a go, maybe try to spin it another way. I was at the press conference last week in New York City, and I asked Bob, because of the Bradley fight and the guy who unfortunately got his hand raised that night, I asked Bob if he can somehow rehabilitate Bradley, which sounds weird to rehabilitate the guy who got his hand raised, rehabilitate Bradley, get him a couple of wins against some decent guys. They're talking maybe Peterson and you go about your business, and whether the Mayweather's fight's made for the spring or even after the Mayweather mix. Do you think the Bradley fight in a year and a half at least is a viable fight? Because obviously there is a mess that you guys, I'm sure, would like to clean up, possibly, or no?
Well, no, I think there's always a chance because it's getting hard to select opponents right now. We're running out of opponents, I guess, is the simplest and honestest thing to say. And, I can't say we'll never fight Bradley again. If he gets a couple of fights under him and, we're faced with limited options and he's proven himself, then there's always a chance for that. Of course there is.
And, talk about that process that you just mentioned, the limited opponents. Seems like we're talking about the same 3 or 4 guys for every fight, both for Mayweather and Manny. How difficult is that to do when you only 2 or 3 options?
Well, it depends on who the options are. Like this time around, it was still Cotto and it was still Marquez. And as I said, our first choice was McGill. So the problem we're having when you run out of interesting opponents, it's harder to motivate Manny for the fight. But right now he's very motivated for the Marquez fight. He was certainly going to be motivated for the Cotto fight. Had we chosen Bradley, I'm not really too sure how motivated he would have been for that. So it does create some complications. And that's why, too, we've had some discussions. Perhaps we'll move the next fight out of the country just to add a different element to it and, have Manny get rejuvenated. And that was one of the reasons we went to Texas the first time. After you fight for so many years and we love Vegas, it's like a second home. Everybody treats us great there. But sometimes a little change is great. And I think when we went to Dallas and that experience for Manny, it rejuvenated him a little bit.
2 more real quick questions. You mentioned out of the country. I know, and Manny mentioned this at the press conference last week. His first thought was with the Marquez fight, that beautiful new arena in Mexico City. Why was that not an option?
Well, it was an option. Excuse me. We were working on that. I was discussing that with Aram and also with Fernando Beltran. But I think the biggest hurdle that we encountered was the limited time to move the fight and secure the guarantees that we needed from Mexico. But certainly he was willing to go there. He wanted to go there. We knew we would get booed. Well, I don't know if we would get totally booed out because at the press conference half booed us and half cheered him. But we love the Mexican fans. They've been very good to us. We vacationed there a couple of times with Manny, and they treat him with respect. And I hope someday, perhaps, if it's not Floyd in the spring, we can go there with a different opponent. I think Mexico deserves to have Manny there one time.
And lastly, you're a guy who's probably spends as much day-to-day with Manny, whether it's in the Philippines or, in your travels. He mentioned that, he didn't flat out come out and admit it last week at the press conference and on a couple other interviews I saw, but he seemed to maybe ease up on his killer instinct, and he said in this fight he wants to get back to the 25, 26-year-old Manny Pacquiao. Have you noticed that in your day-to-day dealings? Just, talking with him, that he may have lost some of his mojo for the time being?
I think in the last two fights we did. For the Marquez fight, the last one we had, number 3, he was very motivated through the whole training camp, and it's no secret, and it's not an excuse, but some personal problems came up the week of the fight, and that totally destroyed his focus. And on the Bradley fight, I think he he took Bradley too lightly, and for some reason he let up on him in the latter rounds. We've talked about it many times, and I believe he's going to do what he said he's going to do. He's going to focus, and he's going to regenerate himself and try to bring himself back to that stage where he was when he was 25 or 26. In fact, I had told him the other day maybe it would be a good idea to get a picture when he was 25 and get the same haircut. Maybe that'll help him.
Hey Michael, this is Michael Dawes again. I got another question.
Yeah.
In previous fights with Manny, and no disrespect in saying this, and the media tends to stretch a lot of things out of proportion as well. But there has seemed to have been tension between you and Alex Ariza and Freddie Roach, I guess. Just basically members of Manny's team. There has been tension, according to the media. If that is true, is that something also that Manny's team, you guys, are actually working on in preparation for this fight? Basically getting along a lot more than. Go ahead.
First of all, in regards to those questions, that line of questioning, I've never had a problem with Freddie Roach. The media makes an issue out of it. Some people inside the circle make an issue of it. I never interfere with Manny's training. I never say who should train him or suggest who should train him and who shouldn't train him. Now, have Freddie and I always agreed on everything? Absolutely not. But we've never had a problem that's been depicted in the media. Now, as to Alex Ariza, he's got a job to do. I got a job to do. If both people do their jobs, there won't be a problem. As to the rest of Team Pacquiao, I work for one guy. I work for Manny Pacquiao. And as long as Manny trusts me and has faith in me, then I'm doing my job properly. But it's always the closest guy to the star always gets kicked to the curb. So, I'll just continue to do what I'm doing.
Hey, Mike, this is Chris Robinson here. I was going to ask, if something happens, Manny, after the Marquez fight, if something happens to where there's just no real opponents out there that, are going to generate interest, could you see a situation where that could trigger something where Manny kind of wants to walk away from the sport if there's nobody appealing out there for him?
I think so, and I talked to Manny about that before we decided who we were going to fight here. I've been with Manny close to 8 years now, and as somebody alluded to earlier, I spend a lot of time with him. Probably 90% of my time during the last 8 years are spent with him, and we became friends. And that's the last thing that I want to see is Manny get hurt in the ring. I don't see it being too far from now when he's going to retire.
And if something happens to where you're looking for opponents, do you think Top Rank might even try to work with Golden Boy? Because, they got good fighters at 140, 154. Do you think Top Rank could consider even having to work with them next year if it's a necessity?
Well, that's a question you have to ask Top Rank. I mean, there are don't work for Top Rank, and what Bob has done in the past all the time, he gives us 3 or 4 names, and he allows us to choose who we want to fight. He never puts pressure on us to go one way or the other. He lays out the financial aspects of it, what he feels he can pay us, and then Manny and I negotiate and make a decision at that point. Whether he's willing to work with Golden Boy, that's between Top Rank and Golden Boy.
All right, thanks, man.
Hey, Michael, we appreciate everything. Now, I got to ask you a question. We look for you. I know Tim and I look for you on Twitter. I'm sure a lot of other people look for you on Twitter. Are you socially active on the social network, it seems, at all?
I'm a dinosaur. I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook, and I still belong to AOL.com.
I respect that. I respect that because there's a lot of, you figure like this, you're with Manny, and everybody around Manny wants to be, they seem to see it. I got respect for everybody who's around Manny. But you take advantage of the celebrity, and you go out there and kind of whore yourself out on the social networking scene and stuff like that. But, definitely appreciate you coming on, man. Would love to invite you back on the show again sometime in the future, possibly after the Manny fight. If you would be welcome to come back on ATG Radio, we'd love to have you.
No, it was a pleasure being on there, and I'm very thankful and grateful that you invited me, and I appreciate the panel that you had asking the questions, and I'd be very pleased and honored to come back anytime you request.
There you go, Michael Koncz. I appreciate everything, and I wish, you and obviously your business and Manny all the best December 8th. Looking forward to being in attendance live. And, just stay tuned, man. It's going to be it's good. If people aren't hyped about it now, HBO 24/7 and media stuff is going to get them hyped. But, Michael, have a great night, man, and all the best to you, bud. Have a great night. God bless you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, folks.
Take care.
Bye.